Alrighty, these videos are going to be a little loose. We're just kind of checking out some new stuff from the patch. We read the patch notes, but we just read like a text document, so I do want to see some of the in-game effects that maybe weren't listed in specific. And we're going to start off here with these Tiger Warrior Stalkers. So these guys were the worst unit in the Grand Cathay DLC that came out. They previously only had 1 or 2 ammunition of these little shurikens. They didn't do that much damage, and then in melee these guys were incredibly underwhelming, so they got some buffs. They said they got a changed missile profile, and that apparently just means they got 6 ammunition instead of 1 or 2, and then maybe a little longer range. It's hard to tell. I did put the AI not on sandbox mode, but it seems like the Silver Helm has stopped to capture the point. So I wanted to test 2 things. I wanted to see how they do at counter skirmish, and I wanted to see how they do versus armored cavalry. So the counter skirmish, I had them versus Shadow Warriors, who they are faster than. So they're capable of running up to the Shadow Warriors and beating the piss out of them, which is actually pretty relevant information. Grand Cathay previously does not have any kite support or anything like that, so you could get kited pretty easily. Sure, you can counterfire with like archers and cannons and stuff. That's great, but these guys are interesting. 52 speed is not bad, and like I was just showing there, the Shadow Warriors can't outrun you, so you could just sprint them down and harass them. And we're doing pretty good damage against the Silver Helms with our little shurikens. And yeah, so the Tiger Warrior Stalkers actually might have a place now. I definitely don't think they're overpowered. I just think they went from being utter garbage to, you know, usable. So you can see the 2 that were shooting the unshielded. To be fair, the unshielded Silver Helms, I just wanted something with high armor to show off their armor-piercing missile strength. But unshielded Silver Helms, these guys each got about 500 value with using almost all of their ammo, and now they're a full health, still decent melee unit. And then the 2 that sprinted in to kill the Shadow Warriors in melee, they also had to fight the Sea Helm and the Silver Helms. One of them took about 3/4 of its HP, the other one is still full health. So yeah, definitely a much more usable unit. Again, I don't think it's overpowered. This isn't a disingenuous test to show you they're incredible OP, but it went from being like literally a useless unit you shouldn't bring to now actually having a reason to exist. 6 ammo is that much more threatening, and they just feel a little more useful rather than, okay, we're chameleon stalkers, but more expensive and worse. Now again, we're not going to go through every single thing in the patch notes in the game. We read out the patch notes. I'm just covering some of the stuff that either wasn't in the patch notes or wasn't explained to its fullest in the patch notes. So another thing that wasn't in there, it was a mistake. It'll be patched out soon, so enjoy it while you can, campaign players. High Elf Shadow Walkers have 4 on-contact effects right now. Shield Breaker, Flammable, Burnt, and Poison, all on their shots and their melee. So a little jacked right now. If you don't see them in multiplayer and you're like, why isn't anybody taking the buffed Shadow Walkers? They have been temporarily banned in all multiplayer tournaments because clearly that is a mistake, and CA has said as much, but just pretty funny. Other things wanted to mention real quick here. Flail. Oh yeah, so here's the thing. You might potentially, possibly see the Nurgling Palanquin for like the first time ever online, and it's due to the Plague Flail. A Mortis engine, it's the lightest version of a Mortis engine, the least damaging, but a Mortis engine on a tiny little chair mount like that, and you could have your caster lord on it with either the Lore of Nurgle or Lore of Death. Because the Nurgle combat lords are actually pretty good, there's just never been a reason to take the Plague Ridden. You'll usually take a Chaos Sorcerer of Nurgle. And I also think the Plague Ridden got a reducing cost. So let's just make theoretical stuff. So you could take Horse-mounted Chaos Sorcerer of Death, or you could take Palanquin-mounted... What's the difference in HP between the Palanquin? It's 2,000 more HP, so it's definitely worth it. Okay, so Palanquin... Spirit Leech as well, Life Leeching, Cut Locus of Virulence, and keep Plague Flail. For only 100 more gold, you could get a Mortis engine with 2,000 more HP. He still, it's weird to say, but he won't be as tanky as the Sorcerer of Death, because the Sorcerer of Nurgle, the human one, because he doesn't have demonic instability crumbling and stuff. But yeah, Plague Ridden, definitely very viable with combat lords Nurgle likes taking, like Tamarkon or the Chaos Lord Nurgle, who are both actually very solid options. So yeah, I would not be surprised to see the Plague Ridden as maybe our first meta demonic hero. None of the demonic heroes have been meta ever since this game released, so that he actually could be the very first, which is kind of hype. Other stuff that I don't have to load into game to show you would be Norsca got some buffs that I think are strange, but I mean, we'll take them, I guess. But Wulfric was already very strong, and he got 2 huge buffs. Hunter of Champions doubled its armor shred, which is great for Norsca. Skinwolves have incredibly high weapon strength, but they actually don't have that high of armor piercing. Same with the dogs. So Hunter of Champions being able to debuff things for the Skinwolves and other things to do good damage is incredible. Also buffs up his Sword of Torgald because his weapon strength is not primary armor piercing unless he's on his Mammoth or Chariot. Chariot's bad, so you'd have to be on your Mammoth. So this makes Horse Wulfric so much better of a duelist because you can shred more of that armor off. But then the Sword of Torgald got incredible buffs. It got the Inevitable End, which I believe the other one is called like Cursed Bane or something on Kislev, but it's 100% healing debuff. You can't heal while he is attacking you with the Sword of Torgald. That is so effective in matchups like Tomb Kings, where they rely on a lot of slow passive healing. Nurgle obviously likes to get a bunch of heals off. I mean, it's funny that he could hunt down Throg pretty well, but yeah, any character that relies on healing, High Elves, anything like that, Sword of Torgald is a really good anti-heal ability. If you pair him up with some Skinwolves and fight like Dragon Princes or something, and then they try and get a regrowth, and you just say no. Grail Knights, same thing. Very, very powerful. And then Throg's got Colossal Strike, which is nice, but that was in the patch notes. And then Copious Vomit got Stomach Acid. So Throg now has a leadership debuff that, if you remember... No, I think that's only the Toad Dragon. I think only the Toad Dragon can use that while in melee, but actually maybe Throg can. Hold on, I'm gonna load in. All right, did Throg get the Toad Dragon treatment? Yeah, he did. Okay, so Throg can also use his Vomit at point blank range, meaning he can just apply the -8 leadership debuff to something he's fighting. It's not OP, but mixed with Colossal Strike, it definitely gives Throg some buffs that I would argue he debatably didn't even need, but I mean, he'll take them. With Wulfric getting buffs and then cheap Caster Lords being prominent, you don't see much of Throg, even though he himself isn't that weak. This might just bring him more into relevance, but yeah, Norsca have a lot of strong Lord options now. Let's back out of this, but then one last thing I wanted to mention on Norsca is Beorg got some buffs. I don't know if he needed them. Also, his items page is looking insane. Look at this. Sorry, abilities. He has so many abilities. I just played a game with this. So he got Colossal Strike. He got bonus versus large, so he's a really good anti-large combatant now. But Praeton Horns is actually kind of crazy. If he gets involved in fights on the flanks, he can throw down a -8 leadership debuff. And actually doesn't have to be directly on top of him. He can throw it in support of other fights. So he can just bring around a -8 leadership debuff, a +8 leadership buff for your allies, and it's actually really good, really impactful. So I think Beorg is a monstrosity right now. I haven't played a ton of games to realize if he's like OP or super meta, but I definitely really want to try him on the flanks with some of the buffed Kurgan horsemen and then dogs and stuff. And it's like, he is anti-large, he does a lot of damage. He could be this general on the flanks and then throw down these leadership debuffs that could keep your dogs in the fight while routing the enemies. So definitely very cool. I took him in one game and he did pretty darn well, but it's just one game, one sample size. All right. We got 2 more changes. It was kind of hard to show these because they're both kind of vibes based, but Nurgle's Rot Knights, there I missed a charge on the far one, but Nurgle's Rot Knights got elliptical models instead of, circular. It just makes them feel better. It makes them perform a little better and more consistently. It makes them feel less clunky. It's improvement, but it's a lot of feel stuff, so it's hard to really show the value. Because like the Rotting Riders murdering Skull Crushers is whatever. Like, yes, it's a powerful unit. Yes, Skull Crushers are pretty bad. We've noticed that. These ones, like I said, the Skull Crushers got a free charge on me because I just walked him over here and then was paying attention to my Toad Dragons. So the HP really isn't too much of a thing, but like, just trust me when I say the elliptical models feel good, and go grab some Rotting Riders and the Rot Knights for yourself and just play with them, and you'll be like, huh, something about this just feels a little better. Other big change is the Toad Dragons. They got better infantry clearing stats generally, a little better impacts and whatnot, but they also got the ability to use their vomits while in melee, so that, these marauders touching their ankles doesn't stop them from breath attacking that other marauder of Corinth. And they got the suffocating debuff, so that people lose melee attack, vigor, and reload skill when hit with those breath attacks, so Tamarkan got some similar buffs for that sort of thing. That's all well and good, just a buff for Toe Dragons. They also got more HP, so generally this monster that has been underperforming should be a little better. One thing to watch out for, though, is if you're trying to breath attack the exact model you're sitting on top of. Trying to wait for this thing to happen here, but I give this Toe Dragon orders to breath attack his own feet because I wanted to see how much damage it would do if it would be like a bomb or something. Like, I wonder why CA didn't do this before. So you can see I got the indicator, and then he kind of did one part of it and then canceled it. He's still trying to do it when I was piloting it, and he just can't figure out how. So he kind of humble bumbles around a bunch. So I'd be careful if you're going to breath attack something at your own feet. It can be really buggy and weird for the thing you're using. And then he gives up on it. He's just going to start attacking them again. So you can see he still has 2 breath attacks, even though we saw him use one earlier and we saw him start one there. He just kind of gave up on it. So it's pretty messy. And even when you do get him to do it, like I get him to do it here, it's just so scattered and strange that it really doesn't get that much damage off, and I honestly think it just missed those Marauders. So best to use those breath attacks on nearby fights rather than the fight you're actively a part of, but you know, user beware. On the other end of the spectrum from the Herald of Nurgle, I don't know about the Alluress. I don't know. She might be takeable now. Might be. She got a new buff.
Do you hope to claim victory in battle?
Okay, so she got Locus of Beguilement. Minus 24 melee defense, minus 8 leadership. AoE is pretty nice. I think she also got a cost reduction, I think. So that's all nice, but she is still a very squishy demonic hero on a roster that already has a lot of squishy combat characters that are quite good. Like Strykar exists, so I don't know. But I did think of an interesting combo where you take the Alluress with that Locus and then Azazel with his Demon Blade, and then with Phantasmagoria you have a pretty good leadership bomb. And while I get the Winds of Magic, I just thought it was funny. Volkmar with his 78 speed is running down my 100 speed Alluress because of, I know, charge bonus, but it just looks funny. Just like, I'm gonna get you. He's just running her down. I think it's funny. Anyway, moving on. Just saying, I don't know if she'll be viable, but it is interesting. It provides some more combinations for Slaanesh, and I just had them fight these Reichsguards. These are just Hellstriders. They aren't Seekers or anything, and in come the various debuffs, so Phantasmagoria, Locus of Beguilement, Discouraged. You can see the Reichsguard are, I mean, they lose 40 leadership from that triple combo of Azazel's Sword, Phantasmagoria, and the Locust, so 40 leadership's quite a lot. And then Azazel provides terror, but I also believe the Alluress can provide terror if she's on her Exalted Chariot. And then the melee defense debuff is sizable as well. So the Reichsguard are down to 7 melee defense, meaning the Hellstriders can get through them. I don't know, it's cheeky. We'll see how impactful it ends up being. I don't think it'll be incredible, but it makes a terrible unit maybe okay. Okay, this next thing is just dumb to end the video on just a haha funny note. This is not overpowered. I know most of this combination was here before the Alluress buffs. I just thought it was funny. So here we have Sword Masters of Hoeth, and then we have the ultimate leadership debuff I can think of in the game with the Demons of Chaos. So, yeah, we have a Tzeentch caster, a Nurgle caster, a Slaanesh caster, and Be'lakor. And you have already routing, not even just terror routing, already naturally routing Sword Masters because of the Withering, Doom and Darkness, Treason of Tzeentch, Phantasmagoria, Locus of Beguilement, and Whispers in the Darkness, all accumulating up to a 40, 56, 64, 70 leadership debuff from spells and abilities from these 4 characters. Now, to be fair, the Herald of Tzeentch and the Herald of Nurgle could have been heroes. I was just being lazy, but like, you could theoretically take Be'lakor and 3 heroes in, I guess, campaign or something and have this massive debuff blob thing. And I mean, it got Swordmasters of Hoeth to rout from nearly full HP. It's just funny, it's just silly. Don't worry too much about like, well, that's not very good, that's not a good test because that would never happen. It's just fun, have fun, it's a video game. But mean, you know, like I said, the Alluress, it just opens her up to some more combinations that could be good. Because you could see, without the ridiculousness, right? You could see her paired with Be'lakor, and then take Melkoths on Belagor, take a net on her, and then get some good leadership debuff blobs because he has the remove immune to psychology from his Whispers in the Dark. You could also go with a Tzeentch caster paired with this Slaanesh caster and then get Treason of Tzeentch plus her thing and the why am I forgetting? Phantasmagoria. So anyway, I'm just saying that that addition of an ability does make her more viable when she used to be just terrible. So I'll be curious to see if any players really pick her up. That's it for like the changes that were mentioned in the patch notes, but we didn't really know what it meant. So hope you had some fun.
Subscribe, yes.